This conference will now be recorded.
Town of Cottage Grove Plan Commission will hold a public meeting on Wednesday, December 27th, 2023 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall, 4058 County Road. And you can also join the meeting by GoToMeeting. The meeting was posted at the Town Hall and on the website. I'll call the meeting to order, and we have the minutes of the November 22nd meeting in your packet. And in 5, we need to make a change. RR1 should have been RR2.
Based on the size of the parcel.
The size of the parcel is 2 acres, and it's 2 acres and over, go to RR2.
Does that need to get changed in the second sentence at the top, which is RR1 and RR?
Well, that's how it was posted.
That's how they applied.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Then I have a question on 6, is why it was carried 5-0 with no abstention. Or was it?
Oh, probably because I was thinking I was at a town board meeting. It probably should be 7.
7.
Good catch.
Other than those two, I don't know of any others. I'll move approval.
Motion by Mule. Is there a second by Anders to approve the minutes for November 22nd with the change in 5 from in the motion from RR1 to RR2, and in 6, the motion carried 7-0. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions. Motion carried. Next item is public concerns, public's opportunity to speak to the Plan Commission about any subject that's not specific agenda item. Anyone online?
There is a caller online, but. Or
Okay. Moving on then, Neely Score applicant, Screaming Norwegian Farms landowner petitioning to create 2 residential lots on parcel 0711-264-8002-0 and 0711-264-9585-0 on Scarston Road, using RDUs from parcel 0711-361-9000-9. And you're up. You're up.
Go up there.
It makes it either place.
Supposed to say something?
Just tell us what you're
Well,
doing.
we're just gonna take them 2 parcels from over there, because Jude kind of suggested we take them 2, so there'll be no building along 12. Otherwise, I'm gonna leave one over there, take one of my own, but we thought about it, decided to take both of them off there, so there's no more building on 12 over there.
So they're both coming off the farm on 12 and 18.
Yes.
And that's what Dane County Majid was after, wasn't it, Kim? And you're making 2 lots. One is 1.5 acres and the other is 1.87 acres.
Yes.
Any questions of the applicant?
Majid said on the back of the sheet here that you were gonna request in writing. Did you do that?
Yeah, I did that. Kim said she got that, right?
yeah, they reapplied to the county.
Really good?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And then with respect to the lot, there's a piece on there that's just X. And I understand why that piece is in there.
That piece of me?
Yeah, but did you want to make the other lot smaller? The reason why I'm asking that is that if you ever had an intent to make that grass strip along Score Road.
No intention to make that lot.
Okay, good enough.
Any other questions?
There's no need to see the deed holding the height. It could hold the development. Isn't it?
I have a question. This is Tina Cosner. I own the lot just up the hill there next to where I think they want to make the new lot. When I purchased that lot, I purchased it with the idea that I was told that there weren't going to be lots below me or behind me. And that's why I purchased that lot. But now I'm finding they're trying to make lots there. Are they going to make more lots after this too?
I can't say that they're not. That would depend on the landowner and if he has development rights.
No, that's gonna be it. I can guarantee you that.
He says no.
Says no. So the two lots are just going up the hill on the west side, right? Next to my lot. Like
Yes,
there's
they're on the
Jennifer.
west side of Scarston Road.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And he doesn't need or should have to submit the deed that holds the note saying that, yeah, we sold the property, but we didn't sell the building. We need that in this.
For Dane County?
For our purposes, Dane County for recording, right?
No. Dane County tracks that.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Mike Gall, I live two lots away from there. And curious on, are there going to be restrictions and deeded restrictions to have anybody who builds on that lot blend in with the neighbors? You know, in regards to either physical size or exterior
Same what you
condition?
guys got. They can't build directly across you. Block your view and that.
No, it won't be. I was just curious. I didn't build there, so I just purchased there. So I'm not sure what the restrictions were, what the deeds were.
Yeah, these two would pertain to what the rest of them are, the size of what the buildings could be in that, and where they could be located.
Any other questions? Any more from the Plan Commission? Any action?
Approval of the rezone from ag to the single family SFR1, pulling the two development rights off of what we call the 12 and 18 farm. And those lots or those development rights would be then used on Scarston. And that also the parcel that the lots came off of on the 12 and 18 farm be deeded as to no residential.
Restricted.
Yep.
That's it. Motion by Andrews. Is there a second? Second by Mark to approve the rezone from FP 35 to SFR1 for the two lots on Scarston Road with the development rights coming from a farm on 12 and 18, which will be deed restricted for no residential development. Any discussion on the motion?
You want to say anything about, it's a total of 3.37 acres, right?
Sure, I can add that.
So you're going to add that it's one lot is 1.1 1.5 and the other is 1.87 acres. That's all right with second. Nodding his head in agreement for the two lots as presented in the preliminary CSM. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Town board will act on it on Tuesday, the 2nd.
Next Tuesday.
Yep.
Okay. See you next year then.
Yep, we're in
Thank
next
you
year.
much.
Thank you. Next item is discuss and consider recommendations regarding Dane County Ordinance Amendment 2023-03-068 regarding conditional use permit and rezoning process. Any discussion?
I guess they understand why the county is wanting to do that. Apparently there's issues over in the town of Middleton, if I recall correctly.
Middleton and Spring,
What's that?
are two towns. I cut them back, Middleton and Primrose.
Primrose, that's it.
Yeah.
And I believe wasn't what the county's currently proposing, wasn't that policy back before the chapter?
19 revision.
Yes,
Yes,
and to
they
prevent,
lost it.
huh?
They lost it when they rewrote it.
Yeah.
And DCTA brought that up to them apparently.
Mhm. Correct.
Any public comment?
I guess my public comment, I sent a letter off to you guys today. I think this is something that affects me personally, right? There's not a time limit Dane County can impose. I understand that was in the old ordinance, but that doesn't make it constitutional. The process, what Dane County zoning has to do, and I'm not talking about cups. Once again, that's a whole different ballgame. I'm talking about specifically rezoning. And they don't follow the law because the law says that it has to be consistent with 66-101-3. All ordinance amendments have to be consistent. That has to be the reason why you vote. How is changing, putting a time limit consistent with our comprehensive land use plan? I don't know how it is. What they need is standards for the whole. How can a guy obtain, if his property is consistent with the town's comprehensive land use plan, right? A property is. What is the process of getting it approved? I get the city approval, I get the town approval. There's no standards. You can't, zoning is a yes or no. Either qualify or you don't qualify. It's a map thing. You guys put it on a map that says, this is what this is. Dane County adopted it on a map. And now they want it, the reason why I'm bringing up this stuff into this deal is because if we're going to change the ordinance, let's write standards for obtaining zoning. What is the standard? You guys approve my zoning. The only person in the whole world is them people up at Dane County. Roger Lane and Todd Vellante didn't want it, so they came up with an artificial reason, even though the maps and City of Madison and all that, but I can't get zoning. And now they're going to penalize me with this new ordinance, right, they're gonna put a time stipulation in there that is not in the statute. It doesn't, did you read that, Mr. Anders?
I did.
What I said today?
I did.
There's not an exception in there to create an artificial deadline.
The rationale behind their request, or their proposed change or the ordinance amendment is because of the fact that I believe, again, please don't quote me on this, but the town of Middleton, whomever was applying to their zoning commission was turned down. They turned around and reapplied the month after that. They were turned down, reapplied. They just kept reapplying without substantial changes, which is,
Is it zoning or cup? Because it says a handful of cup things, as I read this memo, it says a handful of cup things, right? What's a handful mean, first off, right? I mean, a handful could be 2 or 5, and we're talking about how many towns in the county zoning department? You got 2 towns that are having problems with it. Once again.
well, I don't, perhaps maybe these are the 2 straws that broke the camel's back. The issue, unless, say for example, we turned down Mr. Smith here for either a rezone or a CUP for that matter, all right? We say no based upon our best judgment and whatever ordinances we have, all right? Mr. Smith goes away, he decides to write Kim a check, come back to the Plan Commission the following month. And, all right, we have to hear it. We have to listen to him, restate everything that he told us the month previous. And this would go on and on and on and on. And number one, it wastes our time. It wastes his time. I don't know if these people are hoping to wear down the different plan commissions to finally, okay, we've had enough. We give in and let him have his way. Or by having the 1 year to have that person go back and think about it, or if they come back with substantial evidence, they can go ahead and come back. If, something happens or they discover something or whatever, if there's a material change to that application, nothing prevents them from coming back. I'm not saying the next month, but as soon as they can get back on the agenda, there isn't that 1 year buffer, if you will. And that's the only thing to prevent these people from just boom, boom, boom.
I get the frustration. Sometimes the law is frustrating, but the law is specific. It doesn't give you that time limit, right? That you can put a time limit. If the guy is stupid enough, first off, if anybody's stupid enough to keep coming back to the board with the same dog that they've been turned down for, they pay their fee, right? The statute says if you pay your fee, you can rezone. It doesn't say that if you get turned down, you can't rezone for 12 months. What I'm saying is that the statute's specific. Anything that's specific has to be within the scope of the law. CUP and zoning are 2 separate dogs, and they have to be treated separately, even though Dane County is trying to incorporate their CUP standards into their rezoning. If they want to create standards, just like, the things that they said about being, a busy road and a couple things, right? That they denied me. What's the standards for that to rezone? Once again, I'm not asking to run a business. I'm not asking to do a permit. I don't need a permit to run a business. I'm asking to use the permitted rights that you guys created, right? Through the farm preservation business law, right? You only need 10,000 square feet. All those things are in my favor, but there's no standards. The standards are what Roger Lane and Todd Vellante determined. Now, if you want to write standards so somebody can reach that goal, then create them, because that's what the law says. You have to create standards by ordinance, not artificial standards by what somebody says. And that's what the problem is. for me, and I've been at this 2 years. I'm just now getting to the Court of Appeals. And when I get done, because I got a petition, if I lose again, right? Once again, the circuit court gave me no time of day. He don't know what the law is. He just believes whatever Dane County says. Hopefully the Court of Appeals will. But what I'm saying is that by the time I get done at the Court of Appeals, I'm 3 years into this thing. And you're going to add another year. This ordinance is going to add another year. So 4 years. By ordinance, I can't reapply for zoning.
When was the last time you actually applied at the county?
I applied in October of 21.
Okay, isn't your 12 months theoretically would be
But
up?
that ain't what the ordinance reads. If you read the language of the ordinance, there's two things about the ordinance that they're changing. Just rezoning, because that's the only thing I'm concerned about. The cup stuff is, I want nothing to do with a cup because once again, I'm not giving Dane County a signed application that says that they can sue me and I'll pay for it if they disagree with something. And that's what that cup program's all about. But what I'm saying is there's two things that on the rezoning thing. One is the time limit, right? They said that after a court decision, takes me 3 years to get a court decision. I got to wait 4. Now I'm being penalized the 4th year, right? So, right? That I can't do anything. I had to wait, right? I filed my appeal and I had to wait 1.5 years for a decision out of the circuit court judge on something so simple. I didn't even get a hearing. But what I'm trying to say is that the law is specific. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If where it says the current version says approval standards. Right now they want to go to criteria. Is the other words that they want to change? What is the criteria? What is the roadmap to getting approved? Dane County's telling me my roadmap to approval is I have to get a cup in my current zoning district if I want to do something with my property, but it don't give me the permitted rights under the FPV. I don't gain nothing. I don't get what I need for my circumstances, right? And what I'm saying is that if because I have to make some decisions when this thing's done, right? When my appeal's done, and should I lose this, what am I going to do? I'm still going to rezone and get a cup or whatever the deal is. I still have to do something to get if I choose to do that. But there's two problems with the rezoning ordinance. I don't want to get a cup.
You don't want to what?
I don't want to get a cup for anything.
Oh, cup, yeah.
Even in FPV, I don't want a cup. I don't want to run a full-time business out of there. I'm looking to make a little coin off my property, right? That's not going to affect my neighbors, affect the town or anybody else. And this guy's been just opposed to it. 62 years old, I want to retire. I semi-retire, but I want to retire and I want to make, once again, I pay $8,300 in property taxes. Where's that coming from on a $15,000 Social Security, $15,000 a year Social Security? It's half of it. What I'm saying is, and I know I'm getting off the deal a little bit, but I'm just telling you straight up that if you guys as a board have an obligation to look at the law is specific. Tell them to change the wording. If you want to go ahead and put that year thing in, then set some standards for what substantial changing means in writing, because that's what zoning says. Everything zoning has to be in an ordinance or it don't exist. And the problem is Dane County don't want standards because they want to run a loose ship where they get to control things, right? They get to control things, and I get it. But you can't infringe upon my rights to use my property that I'm qualified for, that's put on a map in a farm preservation district in the city of Madison's comprehensive land use plan, right? Dane County adopted it, so it's their land use plan too. And then now you're going to let them change the law? It doesn't matter whether that thing was in there in the old chapter 10, because did you read what else was in there about what the committee has to use? Did you read that I put in there, right? Why isn't that in there? Why isn't that in the new ordinance? That's what this board has an obligation to get that kind of language in there for rezones, right? And like I said, you can do whatever you want with a cow. You'll probably never see me down here on a cow, but what the legislation is trying to do is force me into a cup, come back, and then the only way I can rezone, my substantial thing is, hey, I'm gonna get a cup now. It's not fair. You gotta follow the law. And my recommendation would be, I'd ask the town's attorney whether that's following the law. It's not out of line. Don't you, if you're gonna make law or agree to a law, don't you want to make sure that get an opinion on it from a legal expert? Don't take my word for it. I'm telling you what the law says. You can just read it. And the way Wisconsin law works, a statute's meaning is the words to the statute. You can't add extra things to it. And that's what they want to do. Create, if you want to, ordinance amendment for the rezoning statute, then you got to create standards that are fair, that is a roadmap for a citizen in our community to rezone their property without having to go through thousands and thousands of dollars in litigation. Makes no sense, right? I mean, all of it's just craziness. But this board, I think, has an obligation. My recommendation would be to table it to get some more, I would get the town's attorney opinion on that, what I've told you, because it's black and white. I don't think you guys agreeing to it, right? They don't have the power to do it. Then you're agreeing to it without knowing whether they have the power. And I think that's a question you need to ask the attorney. And, unfortunately, it sucks. Last thing in the world I want to cause more bills to my town, but I think that in all fairness, that's what you need to do. And I guess that's where I'm at on the deal.
Did DCTA have their attorney look at it?
She's out of town, and the other thing is that I went on their website to see, they don't even have a website.
What's that?
They're down, the town's association website's down. So I don't know what that's all about. I went and I clicked on the link today, and it says it's down. I tried to get a hold of that lady.
Yeah, she's on vacation
Yeah.
right now, so.
Which is fine, but I would, recommend you got till the 24th or whatever, right? You got a little time here to find out. I don't think it'd take much to ask the town's attorney, Your other option is on the 24th or whatever is what that says.
Yeah.
You've got two options on there. I don't think anything detrimental. It's just, I came in here to give you something to think about, and I'm not I may seem like a complainer, but all I want is what I'm entitled to as a citizen.
Questions from the commission? Action?
When's our next meeting?
Hmm?
Our next meeting is after the 24th already.
Just a second, I want to see here.
Well, we'll get it.
But it's on the 27th though, Tony.
It says you can weigh in at their meeting is the same thing too.
So we'll meet on the 24th, 3rd.
Yeah, it's at ZLR on the 23rd.
ZLR is on the 23rd.
You have two board meetings, so Plan Commission
do
could make
post
a
it back,
recommendation to
Dane
the
County,
board that they
Shut
do
down.
something and the
Dane
board could.
County Towns General Meeting is the 17th.
Check it in the morning. Yes.
That's after our second meeting on the 15th.
Yeah, I could ask the question on what, if it's on the DCTA attorney. Let's see. I moved the table for right now.
Motion by Anders to table. Is there a second?
I'll second. That's me.
Second by Bannigan to table 2 Is there any specific you wanted there?
Well, we won't hear anything back between now and the 2nd. I don't think. So I'm thinking if we'd have an answer back by the regular town board meeting on the 15th, which is before everything, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so do you want to table it or are you referring it to the board to deal with it? Are you gonna come back, have it come back here?
You have to come back here, or come back here on the 24th.
Too late for your
Too
meeting.
late then.
Too late.
We'd have to recommend it tonight, board, to send it to the board.
So just let them decide on it. You can-
If you want to dodge the bullet, table.
It's really the board's action that they're looking for. You're supposed to make a
right.
recommendation.
just
So if you
looking
have
for
a
a
recommendation
recommendation.
that they look into something and then discuss it, I guess that could be your recommendation.
We could do that also.
Rich.
We could have the plan commission send it back or send it to the town board for the.
I mean, you could, if you were thinking of taking Mr. Willen's suggestion and running it by your attorney, for example, you could say, you know, tell the board that's your recommendation and they could talk about it on the 2nd and decide if that's what they want to do, because they're usually the ones that would invoke the attorney anyway.
Yeah.
Or whatever your recommendation was that you wanted to, or if you wanted to go back to the Towns Association for more information, or, you know, whatever it is that you think is needed.
Well, I will contact the Towns Association to find out if it has gone to their attorney. And if not, you know, we'll have an answer, or if it has. Additionally,
SWTA.
I don't know that the WTA would get involved in county ordinances like this too much. Well, no one here tonight, I believe, just kind of looking at the faces, is willing to go ahead and make a recommendation one way or the other on this at this body, correct?
Correct.
I guess so. A lot of head nodding.
Yeah. So
Hold this one.
if we go ahead and
Send it to the board with no recommendation.
correct, and making sure that the board has access to Mr. Willen's concerns, and I'll go ahead and contact the Towns Association and
Get to the board if they want to check with the attorney.
correct.
So you're withdrawing your motion to table, and that's okay with the second?
Yes.
And you're going to make a motion to.
Just send it to the board without a recommendation to the Plan Commission, and then I will check with the Towns Association and find out whatever I can find out, whether they.
Send it to their attorney or not.
Correct.
And
Or
the
if there's
second
even a
is okay with that?
I'm perfect on that. Yes.
Everybody understand?
Question, if we do not adopt this or vote to adopt this, does that affect us directly? I'm assuming not.
Well, the town board will have to take some action one way or another without hearing from you simply
Right,
that you didn't make any decision.
correct. But this is for us saying we'll adopt this
or yes, we agree that Dane County adopts us, correct? That's what we're,
You're just sending it to the board with your recommendation.
correct.
And then the board is just
Board-
making a recommendation to the county. It's not like we're opting out if they, is that what you're saying?
And how it directly affects us if we say no, or
You're,
if the board says.
it's just they're asking for this town's opinion on this.
Yeah. And depending what
Non-binding.
the other
Yeah.
30 some say, you'll go one way or the other.
Okay.
Any other questions on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 7.
So a motion to adjourn. Second.
Motion and a second, Troy and David to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you, guys. Anything else? Thank you.